Forces Command and Staff College and also an international relations expert, condemns call for Kenyan-like protests in Ghana as he describes the riot as criminal.
So if people are calling for rioting during election or before elections, note that you are being criminal, and they will send the police on you. They will send the military on you. So I will not join such a call. There are several ways of demanding accountability, like you said, and then inciting the youth to go and just demand accountability. Do they even know the accountability?
We'll take you to Kenya, where the President, William Ruto, labels the Kenyan IGP as the most incompetent in the world.
We do not doubt the capacity of the police to handle the situation. We don't doubt that. We doubt the command. We have a serious problem with the command of the police, with Inspector General of Police, I think in the world, the most incompetent in the whole world.
And later in the bulletin, we'll take you to court where Attorney General Godfrey Adame finally took his turn to cross-examine businessman Richard Jakpa in the ongoing ambulance trial. Details of these stories and many more coming up shortly. Stay with me.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, MyStar Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, MyStar Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News. Informed, in depth, in touch.
And many thanks for choosing us this evening. Tonight, we go heavy on political issues because government spokesperson on governance and security, Palgrave Boakye Dankwa, has confirmed Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh is the running mate choice for Dr. Bawumia. Star News sources at the presidency yesterday indicate that some 48 hours ago, there was a late night discourse between Dr. Bawumia and his boss, the driver, President Nana Akufo-Addo, not to discuss sales for the day, but to jaw over Dr. Bawumia's supposedly preferred choice, with the media's landscape being awash with names of Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh as the preferred choice, following similar sentiment expressed in a couple of surveys, including a recent one attributed to the NIB. Palgrave Boakye Dankwa confirmed the vice president's choice. Speaking to Joshua Kojo-Mensah on our sister station GH1 TV, he revealed that the choice will soon be presented to the National Executive Council for approval before an official announcement is made. Take a listen to him.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
And I use the moderating role of task interdependence. And I think that we'll have a lot more to talk about in later times.
Definitely. But today has to do with what many have described as failed leadership on the continent, for which reason we are seeing youth in Kenya not happy with a situation and then taking to the streets to protest, and we've seen all that has happened as a result of that. Now, you heard the MPs in Parliament, 2 female MPs. They say there's some level of worry and they believe that something of this nature.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 90.
You are aware that yesterday the Vice President Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, presented his choice for running mate to the president.
But we've heard so many people say that that's not really the case.
Well, is it the case?
I'm aware that Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh was the name that Dr. Bawumia presented?
Yes, that's the name that was presented. And I'm also aware that there's going to be a presentation to NEC.
Okay.
And which is why you see me flanked in my party colors. Because for me, I think that if you have the likes of Okudzato Ablakwa proposing what is happening in Nairobi, Kenya, it tells you that the NDC hasn't got anything to offer. Right. Which is why for me, none other person, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the man who has worked very closely with Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as president of the Republic of Ghana, as the next president.
Don't forget, there is the equation of Alan Tremantin, for example, who has actually exited the party and is also, fighting the MPP and, of course, the NDC in the region. So I wouldn't actually put so much emphasis on his ability to really turn out the Ashanti vote, quite prominently, because we have heard quite a number of disgruntlement, coming from that particular quarters. If you extend Napo's, chances nationally, of course, everybody knows his temperament, everybody knows his relationship. I think that it will be quite a daunting challenge for him to actually prop up areas such as, central regions, such as western regions, such as Greater Accra. I mean, these places are very much swing areas that I don't think that a very partisan Napo would be able to actually mop up the party's chances. So if you ask me, yes, he's an action guy. Out of the lot that was presented, I think that he's the best candidate because almost all of them were weaker candidates. But if you extend it to national, I don't think that he wields so much power to actually turn out the people on their favor or in their favor.
So you had the political analyst and marketer, Professor Kobe Mensah, speaking to my colleague there. But let's go over the phone line and speak to the head of History and Political Science lecturer at the KNUST, Professor Samuel Edujemfi. Hello, Prof. Thank you for making time to speak with us.
Thanks for having me. Quick one, if I may, let me just correct something. My head of department is the Professor Edward Grinya. I have handed over some 2 years ago, right?
Oh.
So I'm sure my records online may need some additional updates, right? Thank you very much.
But we're speaking to you on your expertise as a political science lecturer or a political scientist. So briefly, what do you make of the decision of the choice for Napo as the vice presidential candidate for Bawumia?
Yes, I mean, long overdue. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would definitely take a running mate. He was supposed to have done it a bit earlier, but once he waited, it meant that he wanted to reflect on it to make a choice. I'm sure he might have spent time going around the musical chairs, trying to see who would be best fit to sit on the last chair to be nominated in many respects. A lot of names have come up. Individuals who were not even within the original names or the initial names which had come up also emerged. In many ways, I would say that all those individuals in their own small or big ways might have had the propensity to make a contribution to the NPP and to the flag bearership of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But what is significant is that I believe that in his contemplation, he agrees with the narrative that an Asante man or woman ought to be or should be a running mate because the Asante region is a stronghold of the MPP, and in many ways they have been consistent in backing the MPP, win or lose within, the Fourth Republican era. What is challenging, however, is the fact that he comes with his own baggage, he comes with his own fortune. And whether a balance of the baggage and fortunes would inure to the benefit of the MPP in the long run in the 2024 elections is something we are yet to see. We can reflect on what has happened in the recent past, his own pronouncements and whether Ghanaians have forgotten about that, and more so what he has contributed as an education minister, as a health minister, I believe, and also now in energy, whether the tremendous contributions he's made has been quantified and reflected on by Ghanaians to be able to say that this is a hard-working individual who has the capacity to make a contribution to the state when he gets the opportunity to become a vice president in the future if the MPP should win election. Again, what is critical in reflection on is the type of charisma and persona he comes to the table with, whether we are likely to see a proper interplay of his character and his charisma working together profoundly to energize the cause of the MPP in Asante. It's something that needs deeper and better reflection. That will be done by us, but however, he needs to reflect on that at least to be able to define the type of course he would want to pursue or trajectory he would want to follow, or what would become the right arrows or bullets that may hit the bullseye when it comes to the politics in Asante, especially within the MPP itself. And I share some of the sentiments about the fact that Asante is not well positioned in terms of the coming elections. And I will tell you this, it is the 8th year when the market women are not too excited about inflation, the cost of goods and other challenges. They don't go to vote. It's the 8th year when the party itself is beginning to, if you like, challenge its own internal mechanisms and also with the internal upheavals and the effort to reconcile, whether he has a certain innate capacity to reconcile, whether he has the innate capacity to reconcile, whether he has the charisma that is able to attract the disgruntled party members, if there are many, to be able to come to the table with him. These are things that you would have to demonstrate around this time. If he's given the opportunity, he should show glaringly, even if it's going to be based on opinion.
Right. Prof, before I let you go, I mean, it's no news that Napo, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, seem to have an upper hand in the Ashanti region. But Professor Kobe Mensah believes that he does not have the ability to mop up support in other regions like the Central region and the Greater Accra region. What do you make of that?
But it ties into the narrative I'm trying to, if you like, project. The narrative I'm trying to present to your listeners.
Okay.
That, a man's charisma should be able to win him his own party followership within the region, the Asante region, and also equally win him some sympathies within individual actors who may not even vote for the MPP within the region. And so it's a certain trajectory. So what I'm trying to say that, I mean, on an advisement, I'm saying that even if he doesn't have it, he must be seen to be schooling himself that fast to do that at this time of the day. And whether he's going to cash in some votes for the MPP within Asante and beyond Asante, we are yet to decipher that. But for me, I think he has a responsibility to turn around, transmogrify into somebody who is a people's man in many ways, and he must do that as soon as practicable. And he must be able to do that in such a way that individuals around him, beyond the MPP, will reflect on him as somebody who is all-embracing, who is loving, who is kind, who is gentle, who is, if you like, open to other views, open to criticisms, open to embrace dissent, and all that. So he has a job on his hands. So it is not only about winning the vote. The vote will come when you are selling the right message, when the people feel okay with the current government. The vote will come when the individuals who are going to vote are also certain that this political actor is also coming in to give us something in support of his candidate and not just coming because he has to be a vice president. And these are interesting, dynamics that must be looked at. Right?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Professor Samuel Edujemfi there. He's a political scientist speaking to me there.
Starr Today. First, fast, and credible.
Still on political issues, but in the Ashanti region, constituency chairman of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, in the Ashanti region have allegedly boycotted a strategic meeting organized by the regional executives, citing unfair distribution of resources for the campaign. The chairman accused the regional chairman, Augustus Andrews Nanakwesi, of partiality in distributing party resources, favoring his preferred constituencies. Some of the constituency chairman who spoke to Star News have lamented on how poorly resourced several constituencies in the region were in the 2020 general elections. Thus, they believe affected the party's chances of defeating the ruling NPP. Take a listen.
And I use the moderating role of task interdependence. And I think that we would have a lot more to talk about.
Region Bia, also in the Ashanti region and a party of what you say. But ironically, they are now among who say Ashanti region, yet Yahudia. And to be near, they are called other region, they are giant Ashanti region. Can you imagine, say, in election 2020, most constituencies in Ashanti region, what you say? Now, election 2024, in lessons have been learned among us here, who say, the uncle going forward, the rest of the still, let the enemy how can you believe this? Say, check us as the mark constituencies, say, selected constituencies. If you see a winnable, if you are winnable, it is our mentality where air elections. I can say, Senya, to the time, John Daman Muhammad for to me a resource party. But you know what power and pay for the Said okay. Safoni na I'm sorry. No more said I said we no no more post. So we are not use of a topic about I think the 47 constituencies we are a better car. This is where our pass and gas and second one by Mosadi Pino. So yes, I see a my brother. Hey, that's a make up a manipulation. If you're on my office in the it's a man who said, that is a power. Because we are my office. I have also said,
So he had there some constituency chairman of the NDC in the Ashanti region allegedly boycotting a strategic meeting organized by the regional executive, citing unfair distribution of resources for elections. Let's go over the phone line and speak to Ashanti Regional Secretary of the NDC, Dr. Frank Amwakohene. Hello, sir, and thank you for making time to join us on Starr today.
Thank you, sir, and good evening again.
Right. We hear that there was a boycott of a strategic meeting with the constituency chairman. What really is the issue?
A boycott is a wrong choice of word. There was an appeal from them, actually. That is what it was. And the appeal was in line with a chain of command and who manages what in terms of the campaign strategy, giving of directives, resource mobilization and distribution and all that. And it was a meeting that was called for to take the opinions of the constituencies so that in our meeting with the National Secretariat, they can equally put saying across to them. So, and it was a closed meeting, between us and the executive, not just the chairman, but with the frontline leaders of the constituencies. So, I wonder how it is captured in the media as though there was a disagreement and there was a boycott and all that. No, there was nothing of that sort.
So, for the purposes of clarity, you're saying that they just appealed to you for certain things, right?
Exactly what the meeting was intended to do, to engage with them. We have just a few months to the elections. They are on the grounds, closer to the people. We work with them. We need to hear them so we can let our leadership at the national level also equally hear them. So that whilst we form, you remember the national leadership communicated a campaign team structure just a while ago. In line with saying the region must do the needful by constituting a campaign team. The constituency must also constitute a campaign team. The party structure is coming down from the national to the region to the constituency. There are some slight deviations, and usually we want to engage with the, as it were, the constituencies to take how they feel, so that it can be like you are only up there giving them directives without appreciating what really the issues are with them at the constituency level. So that is the nature of the meeting we held, and that is how it went. But there wasn't anything like a boycott or a protest whatsoever.
Okay, but then over some time, there have been issues of how poorly several materials used that's supposed to be used in the constituency during elections have been used, and this has affected the party's chances of defeating the ruling party. What would you say to that?
Very well. You see, the party has very different approaches to resource mobilization and distribution. The main party structure distributes resources from the national secretariat all the way down to the regional secretariat and through the constituency secretariat. Okay. Where we are working to streamline is the donation from individual financiers and donors. Okay. For some of them, they go directly and make the donations to the constituencies and to the branches, as it were. So when other constituencies are elsewhere and they see that these people are getting these items and we are not getting them, it brings this kind of anxiety here and there. Okay, so as part of today's meeting, we equally assess all that to see that, okay, so if you're a constituency and you get support from the party structure and there's a financier who is equally supporting you, then there should be a way to reach out to them so that we can be fair and equitable in terms of the distribution of the logistics. I can assure you that as far as the main party hierarchy is concerned, every branch is treated equal, every constituency is treated equal, depending on the branches they have, the polling stations they have, and the local dynamics. So we are working as much as possible to be equitable, especially when it comes to individual donations from financiers and party sympathizers.
Okay, thank you so much. That was the Ashanti Regional Secretary for the NDC, Dr. Frank Amwako-Hene. Away from that, but to Kenyan-related issues over the days, the Dean of the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Professor Vladimir Nchidanso, has condemned calls for a Kenyan-like protest in Ghana, as he has described the riot in Kenya as criminal. The Kenyan protests led to the death of at least 23 people as the youth resisted the passage of a finance bill. Subsequently, President William Ruto announced the rejection of the bill despite heavy criticisms of the riot in Kenya by many security experts. The Nocton MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa noted in a Facebook post saying that it is time for Ghanaians to declare a similar version of the riot in Kenya. Here, excerpt of his statement.
President Akufo-Addo refused to stop the sale of our SNIT hotels when he met organized labor yesterday. Akufo-Addo's appointed SNIT board chair, Elizabeth Ohine, is also boldly justifying the stinky deal despite overwhelming opposition from Ghanaians and the protest of labor reps on her board. It's now confirmed beyond any scintilla of doubt, President Akufo-Addo is the chief architect of all the putrefying state capture. It's time to declare our own version of what's just happened in Kenya. Watch out for the big announcement.
But the government has described as reckless comment by the North Tongue MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa condoning the latest riot in Kenya. Dr. Palriv Boache Dankwa is the government spokesperson on governance and security and has been speaking to Starr News on this matter.
I think that there are real issues that our government is tackling and handling.
Right.
We need to look at that rather than a parliamentarian calling for people to go on the street. Would he ask his children to go on the street? Would he have 22 people die through a demonstration? I don't think that it's a very unfortunate statement. I don't think that we want to see a country where people are taking laws into their hands. And that's why I've called always for responsible demonstrators.
Right.
If you're a demonstrator, you must be responsible because no one is against demonstration, but you must demonstrate responsibly. If you demonstrate and you take the laws into your hands, I think that the law will deal with you.
But that's what we've seen in terms of demonstration over the past couple of years. We've seen controlled demonstration. The last one recently, we're told, was very successful. Very few issues were recorded.
But which is why I'm stating that it's important that demonstrators are responsible.
Right.
But for Okudzeto-Ablakwa to call for this, would he be the first person to light fire at Parliament House? A house that has been there since the days of our forefathers? Is that a history he wants to leave for this country? I don't think that we need such reckless comment from a parliamentarian of that nature.
We must commend President Ruto because you are aware that we are part of the African Union. And President Ruto has had some very good leadership in Kenya. And the East African situation is extremely different, unless, of course, people do not understand. Up next to Kenya, you're finding Angola, and you're finding Sudan, and you're having a lot of these terrorists around. And so if people are calling for an emulation of what happened in Nairobi, Kenya, that sorts 22 people who lost their life. It's unfortunate. I have friends in Kenya that I talk to on a regular basis, and I'm not sure they're even pleased with how demonstrators became irresponsible to the extent that 22 people are dead. And we must set the situations in context. Kenya was trying to introduce some new taxes, and they went on a demonstration, and they had even passed the bill in Parliament, and the president was supposed to assent it into law. But the president, upon the demonstration, said Parliament should have a look at that. So to see that a member of Parliament like the Honorable Okudzeto-Ablakwa calls for an exact thing in Ghana, I don't think it's neither here nor there, which really tells you his intent and purpose for the demonstration that he did.
So you had a government spokesperson, Dr. Palgrave Boache Dankwa, speaking to my colleague Joshua on Newsroom earlier today. But let's go over the phone line and speak to Dean of the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Professor Vladimir Enchi-Danso, who is also an international relations expert. Good evening, sir. Thank you for making time to speak with us.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
For the purposes of education, can you kindly elaborate on why you believe the riot in Kenya was criminal, and what specific aspect of the protest did you find particularly concerning?
Well, particularly concerning is the very fact that people were rioting and destroying property. There's a big difference between demonstration and rioting.
Okay.
When you demonstrate, you want to bring something to the fore. You want to bring a problem to the fore and ask for remedies. But when you riot, you are just spoiling. So rioting is a criminal thing, and that is why everywhere in the world, maybe even in heaven, if people would riot, they would send the security people on you. So that is what is disturbing. And see, 25 people have lost their lives unnecessarily so that we can get what? And I believe that if we need a leadership of organizing such demonstrations, you need to educate your people about their rights and obligations, and their obligation to others also. The things they are destroying belong to other people, to the government. And so rioting will never always yield any positive, peaceful result. It will always come with a cost, and that is what Kenya is experiencing now.
So what lessons can Ghana learn from this particular Kenyan experience to better manage public dissent, to avoid the escalation of protests in violent confrontations?
I've been at the forefront of always educating people about demonstration and rioting. And so as soon as you veer off from demonstration to rioting, you are creating the necessary platform for government as of obligation, as of constitutional right, to also come over you.
So in that case, what do you make of the recent calls by some MPs for a similar protest like that in Ghana then?
Well, it's ridiculous in the sense that the very fact that something is happening in another country doesn't mean that you conjure similar things. Because the causal things that created a condition for that effect, if they are not similar or if they don't exist, you cannot just call on people just to get up and just riot the way they rioted. Does that same call also call on the police to just beat people and kill 25 people? I strongly suspect that if a similar situation happens in Ghana, Ghanaians would know how to respond, because the ecology of our political economy is not the same thing as the Kenyans. What we have in common is the very fact that IMF, World Bank are patrolling our economies. IMF, World Bank are making sure that our dual gap syndrome is perpetrated one way or the other. We export less and import more, and therefore we are a consumptive economy. Secondly, the budget gap, where our revenues cannot take us to do our development. And so there are two gaps. We call it the dual gap. And it's a pervasive syndrome. That's one we have in common with Kenya. But it doesn't mean that our responses will be the same.
Right. So, Doc, before you go, from an international relations perspective, how do you think such internal conflict and protests impact the perception of the country, specifically Kenya, on a global stage?
Well, it sends bad signals to investors, it sends bad signals to would-be foreign direct investors and things like that. And it's not also good for the image of the leadership. Ruto just returned from the U.S. promising heavens. And, if such a thing happens, then other people who might have used the U.S., the contours of the U.S. relationship maybe to get closer to Kenya will all be very cautious now. So these are the signals they send, bad signals, one way or the other.
Right. Thank you so much for making time to speak with us.
You are very welcome.
That was the Dean of the Ghana Armed Force Command and the Staff College, and also international relations expert, speaking to me there. But you're still listening to Starr Today here on Starr 103.5 FM.
Starr Today, first, fast, and credible.
Let's go to court because the Attorney General, Godfrey Dede, today finally had a face-to-face encounter with third accused Richard Jakpa as Godfrey Dede took over the prosecution cross-examination from his deputy, Alfred Tuayibwa. This is the first time the Attorney General, Godfrey Dede, is confronting Mr. Jakpa since the businessman made allegations against him on May 23. Justice Efiasewa Asari-Botwe, a justice of the High Court of the Court of Appeals, sitting as an additional High Court judge, had on June 6, 2024, during the ruling on 4 applications, including an application for a mistrial, advised the AG that it would be prudent if he personally does not involve himself in the prosecution of this case. Even though he had been attending court sessions since Jakpa's cross-examination began by the prosecution, he had been watching the Director of Public Prosecution, Mrs. Yvonne Atakora, do the cross-examination. EIB Network's legal affairs correspondent is in the studio with me with more. Mutala. Yes. What do we know?
So what we do know now is that the prosecution at the next court sitting, that will be on 2nd July, will have to conclude their cross-examination of Mr. Richard Jakpa. But to take you to today's court sitting, remember that at the last court sitting, Justice Efiasewa Asari-Botwe made an order for national security to, as it were, investigate the circumstances leading to an unsanctioned recording of court proceedings. Today, it was evidently clear from the atmosphere that some persons or some personnel from the national security and military were at the High Court, I must say, the law court complex, to be precise, to man activities there. So that was the first thing that happened. Then the cross-examination properly also started, and it started in 2 different folds. The first was done by the Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Chiayeboa. And the focus of his cross-examination was in relation to the audio and the conversation or the allegations being made that had been made by Mr. Richard Jakpa. Remember that Mr. Jakpa had told the court that one of the things the Attorney General indicated was that the conversation he had with him was to have Awisi in jail so that his seat can be declared vacant and the MPP will pump him money. The MPP will do all whatever they can to win that slot, to make sure that they take over majority in Parliament. What the Deputy Attorney General was suggesting to him was that was the figment of his imagination. The Attorney General never said that. But Mr. Jakpa stood on his ground and said that, yes, the Attorney General said that the fancies are cheap. It said that they will pump in a lot of money into the by-election and they'll make sure that they win that election. So that is one thing that he said. He also maintained that the Attorney General indicated to him that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Ken Ofori-Atta, the then finance minister, were on his neck, were giving him pressure to ensure that later by the first week of May, Ato Forcing would have been jailed so that the Electoral Commission will make available or will go for a by-election. You remember the issue of the audio also? It also came to the fore. The minutes. You remember at one point in time we were being told that the recording was 26 minutes and they only played between 14 to 16 minutes in court. So the confrontation from the Deputy Attorney General to Mr. Jakpa was to the effect that, yes, he's taking some portions of the audio that will not favor him out, and he only brought to court what will favor him. What Mr. Jakpa indicated was that he was on his way on that said day, April 9, he was on his way to go and see his lawyers where the Attorney General called him on phone. And when he realized that the kind of conversation that the Attorney General is having with him are criminatory, he decided to record. So that is how come the conversation was supposed to have been 26 minutes, but I only have 14 to 16 minutes to the court. And that one, he was denying allegation that, yes, he deleted certain portions and managed to bring some others that would favor him. So that was the tangent of the cross-examination of the Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Chiayeboa, to Mr. Jakpa. Then, moment after he was done with the issue of the allegations against the Attorney General, the audio issues and about all that, the Deputy Attorney General handed over the baton to the Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah-Dame himself. And interestingly, many thought that he was going to confront Mr. Jakpa with issues that had to do with the allegations that were made. Maybe he want to clarify some point on all that. The Attorney General didn't go there. He went into the substance of the charge before the court, and he was talking to Mr. Jakpa about how his company was registered, how Big C the whole process never got parliamentary approval.
But then, Mutala, before you even end that submission, I'm wondering how the mood was when it was time for him to interrogate or cross-examine Jakpa.
So it was curious. It was very calm moment when the Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Chiayeboa, indicated that at this particular point in time, he may want to hand over to the Attorney General to cross-examine. So the first thing I had to do was to look at the face of Mr. Jakpa. And he was very calm when the Attorney General started. So many were thinking that they are going to see that kind of fury. But at one point in time, there will be that kind of, at that point in time, the court will say, Mr. Jakpa, why are you insulting me? Because the kind of word that he wants to use, if you allow him to use that, the court says, oh, my lady, I'm not insulting you. And the court will be like, you, whatever you say in this court, it is the judge that you say to. Okay. So you might be referring to answering the Attorney General directly with certain words and all that. It doesn't mean you are responding to me. So that's why whatever they tell you, because they say, my lord, so you are referring to the court. And then he has to apologize for some of the words that he intended to use. And even the Attorney General at the point in time was also had to be cautioned to us to manage the kind of words that he wants to use for Mr. Jakpa. But in all, it was a very calm moment. You didn't see that there was a beef between the Attorney General. But of course, the way Mr. Jakpa will answer the questions, it has always been an issue in this whole matter. But if you focus on the cross-examination between the Attorney General and Mr. Richard Jakpa, it focused on the contract itself. It focused on how the whole processes were done. And in fact, what the Attorney General even put to Mr. Jakpa was to the effect that, look, this whole ambulance thing that we are talking about, you got 28.7% of the amount, which is in excess of 700,000 euros. And when you quantify that, how would that be?
That's
700,000 euros.
But
Mr. Jakpa said yes, it's 28 point something. The point he could not remember. But then, if you put all those things together, it is not as if it was part of the money that was given to me as a share. So there were commissions, there were certain fees, there were charges, a host of others cumulated into that particular percentage that he got. So that was the nature of cross-examination that took place today at the law court complex, particularly the court presided over by Justice Ifia Sewa Asare-Botwe, a justice of the Court of Appeal who is sitting as an additional High Court judge. The case has been adjourned to next Tuesday. And on next Tuesday, what is expected to happen is that prosecution is expected to conclude their cross-examination of Mr. Jakpa.
Interesting.
Yes. So that is the final day. So in all this while, the Attorney General have had 3 clear days of cross-examination of Mr. Richard Jakpa. And all the cross-examination today, they were done with the issues of the allegations, they were done with the issues of the audio, they were done with the issues of the text messages and all that between Mr. Jakpa and the Attorney General. And for the first time after June 6th, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame is back in the case. He has been attending court in all the other moments. He will be suggesting questions to if it was the Director of Public Prosecution, Mrs. Yvonne Atakra Obobisa, he will suggest questions, he will be giving questions to him. It was the same mood today when he was assisting the Deputy Attorney General to throw questions to Mr. Jakpa in relation to the allegation. But when he got to the ambulance case proper, the subject matter, the issue before the court, the issue which formed the basis of this prosecution, it was the Attorney General that took over. And it is expected to continue next Tuesday.
Interesting.
Where, next Tuesday, July 2nd.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. That was our legal affairs correspondent, Mutala Inusa, giving us update on the ambulance trial in court earlier today.
Starr Today. First, fast, and credible.
Still on court matters, but in the Volta region, Volta Regional NDC is accusing the Hohoi MP, John Peter Mewu, and the Electoral Commission of deliberately delaying the ongoing Seoul election petition as a plot to avoid a by-election. The petitioners, through their lawyer, Chachu Chikata, are in court praying the judge to announce the result of the 2020 parliamentary elections held in the Hohoi constituency and order a fresh election on the basis that the people of Santrofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, and Likpe, collectively known as Seoul, were disenfranchised. But lawyer for John Peter Mewu, Benedict Kofiche, has questioned the capacity of the whole high court to declare that CI 128, which was relied upon by the EC to conduct the 2020 parliamentary elections, was in violation of Article 47+5 of the 1992 Constitution. Let's go over the phone line and speak to our Volta regional correspondent, Faisal. Faisal, good evening. What actually transpired at the court today?
Well, the proceeding was actually held yesterday, Wednesday.
Right. So tell us more about what happened.
And so yesterday, when the parties arrived in court, lawyer for the railway minister, John Peter Mewu, filed 3 issues before the court. These issues border largely on the jurisdiction of the court to be able to determine the very case the petitioners brought before the court. The first issue the lawyer raised, was whether the court has the power to declare CI 128, which was used for the 2020 parliamentary elections, as a violation of Article 47.5 of the 1992 Constitution. And also, if in doing so, the court can equally declare CI 119, which the EC actually relied upon in conducting the election, in carving the Starr enclave out of the Hohoi constituency, as now being part of the Jasikan constituency, whether it is a violation. Lawyer for the petitioners, the Venerable Chachu Chikata, during the proceeding raised the argument that these are issues that were already dealt with in the existing issues that were before the court, and that the two parties never disagreed on the constitutionality of these issues. The issue of whether this CI should be declared as unconstitutional, the lawyer for Amawu is saying that does not fall within the exclusive jurisdiction of the High Court, and so this is a matter that the Supreme Court would have to deal with. But the lawyer for the petitioners, Chatu, disagreed, saying that the issue is not largely about whether this is constitutional or not. It's about the application of these enactments. And so once the EC fails to do so properly, the High Court has jurisdiction over the case.
Right. So you've been engaging the lawyer for Peter Amewu, Benedict. What has she been saying?
He insisted that the CI 1128, CI 119 are issues that fall within the Constitution and must be interpreted by the Supreme Court. So he is of the view that it is not something that the High Court has jurisdiction over. But let me, however, point out that before proceeding ended yesterday, the High Court adopted the issues and said that they were going to consider them.
And the amendment they made belatedly is very copious with the pleadings that certain enactments, certain CI constitutional instruments were unconstitutional. Well, that actually has also certainly awoken us to the realization that before you declare the elections null and void, as they being the relief they are seeking before the Honorable High Court, you first must declare the constitutionality or the unconstitutionality of those provisions upon which the EC, first respondent, rely in excluding the SAL areas from the 7th December 2020 elections. Now, the question that has suddenly popped up is as to whether or not the High Court will have jurisdiction to declare null and void, to set aside a subsidiary legislation that has been laid before Parliament. We have the opinion that based on the dictates of Article 2.1 and Article 130 of the 1992 Constitution, we believe that such declarations or such determinations as to the constitutionality of any subsidiary legislation should be a matter of the Supreme Court. That is why we have set down the new issues, which new issues we believe should be first set down as a preliminary matter.
So that was the lawyer for Peter Amewu, Benedict Kofiche, speaking to my colleague there. But Faisal, we know the NDC in the Volta region have been reacting to the move by Amewu's lawyer. What was their response?
Let me state that even in court yesterday, lawyer Saju Pikata indicated that the court has been undermined by certain actions of the second respondent, that is Peter Amewu. The NDC is of the view that the new issues raised by Peter Amewu's lawyer is simply an attempt to delay the proceeding and to ensure that even if a pronouncement is made on a later day, they are not able to go for a by-election.
You can see clearly that the Electoral Commission, that's the first respondent and the second respondent, Honorable John Peter Amewu, are just trying to buy time and also try to seek refuge, before the Supreme Court. So they are trying to delay the process by filing and also challenging the jurisdiction of the High Court to deal with the matters that has been brought before the High Court. You conducted an election taking away the fundamental right of some people, over 17,000, and you think that cannot affect the outcome of the election, So we are calling on the court to pronounce, to annul that election, which was held, and ask the Electoral Commission, the first respondent, to reconduct another parliamentary election for all the people to participate. Whoever wins, the people will be comforted. We shouldn't even see it as a matter that concerns only the people of Starr. This is a matter that concerns the entire nation. This is a matter that concerns the democratic loving people all over the world, that a section of the population, over 17,000, were disenfranchised in Ghana's democracy. That is uncalled for.
So we had the voter regional general secretary for the NDC, James Gunu, there speaking. But Faisal, before you go, what is the next step as far as this petition is concerned?
Well, the railway minister was supposed to be in court yesterday, but his lawyer gave the excuse that he was on a national assignment, with something that the lawyer for the petitioners was not really happy about. The judge himself was not happy about it. But the case has since been adjourned to Tuesday, 2nd July, and the railway minister, John Palmer, was expected to be in court himself.
Right. Thank you so much. That was our voter regional correspondent, Faisal Idrisu, there.
Starr Today. First, fast, and credible.
Now, I'm sure if you are in Accra, Western region, and some other part of the country, you must have experienced some power outages this afternoon. Well, the Ghana Grid Company has issued a statement not only confirming, but also apologizing to consumers for this disruption. Gridco has been offering some explanation, and my colleague, Adam Kojo, joins me in the studio with a copy of the press statement. Adam.
Yes, Dede.
Yep.
Yeah, so the power outages, what time did they start?
Around 1, I think.
Okay. So you say the incident started at 1. Well, this is what Gridco says. The Ghana Grid Company Limited wishes to inform the public that the Ghana power system experienced a disturbance which led to interruption of power supply to some consumers in Accra, western and northern parts of the country. The incident occurred at 14:41 hours on Thursday, January 27, 2024, when the Accra Central Achimota line tripped due to a fault, causing other transmission lines to also trip. This caused a number of generating stations at Abuaze, Kumasi, and Tema to also trip. Restoration commenced immediately, and efforts are underway to ensure and restore supply to all affected areas. Gridco apologizes for the inconvenience caused to all affected consumers. The Gridco says it started at 2:41 hours. When did you say you've had your first experience?
Around 1.
Okay, so yes, but basically Gridco has acknowledged that and tells us that it is a systematic issue that has happened, and this is what happened, and they are telling us that it's been rectified. At least for us here, at least for the past 2 hours, we've managed to finally see some stability after seeing our power
quite frustrating.
Yes, fluctuate for nearly 2 hours. I don't think we went 5 minutes without having to restart all our machines.
Anyway, thank you so much, Adam Kojo, for giving us update of that statement there. But you're still listening to Starr Today here on Starr 103.5 FM.
Starr Today. First, fast, and credible.
To some business stories now. The Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana is urging Parliament to judiciously throw out a proposed bill by the Trade Minister seeking to check the prices of cement on the Ghanaian market. The legislative instrument seeking to control soaring prices of cement in Ghana will ensure that sanity prevails in the market. This is according to the Trade Minister, Katie Hammond. To Katie Hammond, there is something fundamentally wrong with the cement pricing in the country, hence the introduction of the LI. But the Importers and Exporters Association believes that the proposed instrument, if accepted and passed, will undermine fairness, transparency, and inclusive decision-making in the sector. According to them, it also fails to address the complex issues driving cement price escalation, which the association thinks it is the rapid depreciation of the Ghanaian cedi against the dollar. Let's go over the phone line and speak to Executive Secretary for the Importers and Exporters Association, Samson Asaki Awingobet, joining me on phone. Hello, sir, and thank you for making time to speak with us. Why do you say the LI will undermine fairness, transparency, and inclusive decision-making in the sector? Why do you say so? Hello, sir, can you hear me?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, please, I'm speaking to you.
Okay.
I was asking that
Yes.
why do you say the LI will undermine fairness and inclusive decision-making in your sector?
Well, thank you very much. Good evening. Good evening to your dear listeners. We strongly believe that this is not the first time our trade minister is running to Parliament trying to pass a bill through the back door in order to disenfranchise the business community or investors in this country by trying to regulate. I strongly believe that this happened about a few months ago. You remember the 22-line item. This was the same mode in the same direction that the minister was going towards. We strongly believe that if you want to introduce such a public policy, and this is a public policy, we must have an interest in it, and he should know that there's a need for the minister to give courtesy, and by engaging us to also understand and also contribute. Remember that gone are the days that when you send a bill to Parliament, a secretary ministry send a bill to Parliament, then the Parliamentary Committee for Trade, Industry and Finance would want to invite the public interest to come and then bring in their input or speak to the issues. This time around, what they did is easy. Said, if you want to bring a bill and it has to affect a particular group of persons, please engage them before even you bring their consensus along with the bill, so that they will see to it that engagement was done, meetings was conducted. This was what was the submission. This is what we all agreed. Then when it become a bill, become a law, then it is good to go. We are all good to go. But in this regard, the minister did not consult anybody. And I'm sure today I've heard there was a crucial mission in Accra today, and I'm sure the minister is now coming back to Islamabad to say, okay, look, let me have the meeting with them. It is important for you to have the meeting with the interest groups and to take their advice before. So, and of course, we are in a liberal economy. We are not in the economy whereby we are doing price control. Government didn't give any money to anybody to do business. Besides that, government is to create a level environment. And by creating a level environment, government should have also be thinking of how to meet some of the cost demand that the business community or the manufacturers are involving into, paying charges, fees and charges at the port, utility charges, other corporate taxes. At least, if you want the price of cement product to come down, we are not saying do not advocate for, but why can't you also go and tell central government, look, as a Minister of Trade, should be the first person to be antagonizing business committee. Hence, I will go in love with them. But Finance Minister, be ready to give some of the taxes out so that in talking to them, I have something to bargain. And so that is the way to go. But from the way the Minister of Trade transforms that, I strongly believe that that is not the way to go. We are not in a military regime. That's the point. You must understand that we are in a democratic era.
But then in your earlier submission, you're quite concerned that the minister did not consult the interest group. But the minister justified the need for the LI because prior to this, he had warned your members to reduce the prices of cement, which was not heeded to. Why do you think
that again is a lost battle for the minister? How can the minister warn? Did the minister give finances to any capital to anybody to establish business in this country? No. The minister is to help industry grow, not to scramble industries, not to put unduly disadvantages to disenfranchise investors in this country. I don't think that is the way to go. And again, the minister knows very well that the Minister of Trade have signed an agreement with the WTO. And so when you want to impose certain bills and laws like that, you need to engage the key stakeholders. And so the minister cannot say, I take a phone or I have called that they should reduce prices. That's not the way. Did he bother to even sit with the people to understand the cost that they're incurring anytime they bring their products to the port, anytime they are producing at their manufacturing, at their factory levels? What are some of the costs that they incur and what is the government doing to meet them halfway? At least meet them halfway, do something about for them and say, look, government has done A, B, C, D, and we strongly believe that having benefiting all these things from government, you also need to give back to society by reducing your prices. That is the best way to go, my dear sister.
Okay, thank you so much for speaking with us. That was the executive secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Samson Azaki Awingobet there. But the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the Ghana Enterprise Agency have commenced implementation of LI 2470, which seeks to regulate and classify micro, small, and medium enterprises. The legislative instrument, which was enacted and passed on 30th October 2023, seeks to provide criteria for the classification of micro, small, and medium enterprises in the country. It will also facilitate the compilation of a national register of the MSMEs, speaking out the launch of the Ghana Enterprise Agency Regulation 2023, and to kickstart its implementation, Minister for Trade and Industry Kobna Tahiru Hammond said the LI will create a more enabling environment for MSMEs to thrive.
Improve access to finances for MSMEs with a standardized definition. Facilitate better data collection and analysis for informed policy decisions, and also to encourage MSMEs to invest in competitiveness for sustainable. By implementing these regulations, we aim to create a more conducive environment for the MSMEs to thrive, ensuring that they continue to contribute to Ghana's industrial transformation and economic growth. On this note, it's my singular pleasure to declare the Ghana Enterprises Agency Classification of Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises Regulations 2023 LI 2470 duly launched.
So you heard that the Minister for Trade and Industry, Kobna Tahiru Hammond, speaking there. But Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Enterprise Agency, Mrs. Kosi Yankee, on her part, said implementation of the LI will help government design needed intervention and support MSMEs.
As many of you will know, for the past 30 years, the country has not redefined what an MSME is. After 30 years, a whole lot has changed. You can't push policy or design policy interventions if you haven't defined or classified what an MSME is. So for some of you, you may ask, why should we worry about what a definition is? But it means a whole lot. To define means to give it more meaning, to give it more direction, and to give it more space to grow. This classification will help us deliver on our mandate more effectively, improve coordination among government institutions, development partners, financial institutions, the private sector, and enable MSME to access targeted support and resources. With this classification, Ghana Enterprises Agency can design targeted interventions that meet the specific needs of each category of MSME, track the progress of MSMEs and evaluate the impact of our programs more effectively, facilitate coordination among various stakeholders in MSME development in Ghana, allow us to figure out where exactly gender plays a role in MSME development. If there are more women under micro or small, if there are more youth under one of the various classifications, and how do we put our efforts in supporting and building these businesses.
Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Enterprise Agency, Mrs. Kosi Yankee, there.
Starr Today, first, fast, and credible.
Away from business, President of the Ga Traditional Council in Gamanche, His Royal Majesty Kentucky Teko Chu II, is appealing to government and corporate organizations to support refurbishment of deteriorating public basic schools within the Ga Dangbe traditional area. The call for support follows the refurbishment and commission of the Kentucky Tewia cluster of schools in Adabraka by the Ga Manche Foundation and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. According to Ga Manche, investing in education will help shape the future of the Ga community. Take a listen to him.
By investing in their education in such a tangible way, we invest in the future of the Ghana state and Ghana as a whole. In Yemen, I'm a firm believer in education, as well as many of you, because I recognize and understand its power to unlock the potential of children in embracing a brighter, successful, and excellent future. I'm committed to pursuing the inculcation of culture and of excellence in our schools by encouraging fertile, encouraging, innovative, and creative minds, anchoring in the value of respect, accountability, and courage, and excellence for all. To corporate Ghana, I implore you to invest in education. Nurturing the minds of our youth not only creates a talent pool of your human capital, it also secures a prosperous future for generations. An educated society is not a luxury, but a necessity. What we inaugurate here today requires continued support to sustain it and for a long term to have it fulfill its fullest impact. Please, partner, I also call on support for the redevelopment of basic schools within the Greater Accra region, especially in Accra. The St. Cluster of schools on the High Street.
Well, the Africa West Area President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, on its part, said the collaboration will enhance peace and progress within the Ga-Dangme communities.
When we get education, dear friends, we allow God to work through us, through our developed skills and knowledge, to bless the lives of His children. Education makes us better. We believe that the glory of God is intelligence. We are honored to be here today, Ni. We want you to know that, to be in your presence. We love you. We're humbled by your dedication and the love for your families, for the families here, the children you serve. You have a vision. You're carrying out that vision. We are doing everything we can to help you. You are a good, righteous king. You are a power, and we want to help you. We love you. Please accept this donation, me and everyone else, from the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Sterling Foundation, the Maxfield Family Foundation, and use it to bless lives, encourage dreams, and to do God's work with the children of Accra. We look forward to continuing to work with you as you strive to maintain the buildings and equipment you are receiving. This does not do any good to build something this majestic.
Well, Deputy Education Minister and MP for Kwada, so Professor Kingsley Nyanko, also spoke to Starr News at the commissioning.
Education is not just about passing examinations. It is about shaping character, nurturing values, and fostering critical thinking. We aim to shape the structure and content of our education system towards building literate, confident, and engaged citizens. Individuals who can think critically, innovate, and contribute meaningfully to our society and beyond. Your Royal Majesty, the collaboration between the Government Foundation and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in revitalizing these schools exemplifies our collective efforts towards this transformative goal. Their dedication to excellence in education serves as an inspiration for us all. To our corporate partners, I extend a heartfelt appeal to emulate the commendable example set forth by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Your support is instrumental in creating a conducive learning environment, providing resources and fostering innovation in our educational institutions.
So he had that the Deputy Education Minister and MP for Kwadaso, Professor Kingsley Nyanko, speaking at the commission of Kentucky Area Cluster of Schools in Adabraka.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is backing the Ghana Plastics Manufacturers Association in its quest to have government withdraw the newly introduced 5% excise on all locally manufactured plastic products. Addressing the media briefing in Accra, President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, emphasized that government economic climate, fraught with numerous challenges, is not conducive to the imposition of additional taxes on business. Take a listen to him.
What is this tax for? Is it for revenue generation or is it for management of plastic waste? Let's ask this question. We cannot take any further charges or imposition of taxes around this time. And we are all very much aware that businesses are on the verge of collapse. Even around this time of import substitution that government-owned policy is driving industrialization to, is it the time for us to kill the packaging industry? The plastic industry forms the greater part of the packaging industry that our industrialization drive will revolve. Let's think again. We are telling government to defer the implementation. It's as simple as that. The time is not right. Already we pay 10% environmental excise tax. That has generated over 1.97 billion Ghana cedis. What have you done with it? Have you used it for management of waste? Or we are just interested in imposing taxes upon taxes just to kill local industries? This is not fair. And that's the reason why we will support any effort to demonstrate your frustration. But do we have to go on demonstrations before government can listen to reason? Because it's not even in the interest of government itself. Government cannot hate itself when it's trying to drive industrialization and then at the same time seek to kill local industries. But it should not be said that we did not let government know of our intentions. So if government is not listening, the only option is for us to also demonstrate our right to exist in business.
You heard there the president of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, speaking to Star News. Financial analyst Dr. Richard Dede is challenging the Bank of Ghana to provide evidence to back its claims that the country has seen an increase in remittance flows. A new report by the World Bank has revealed that Ghana was the second top recipient of remittances in sub-Saharan Africa in 2023. Well, in 2022, Ghana recorded $4.7 billion in remittance. However, there are concerns that newly licensed MTOs and fintech companies have withheld approximately 18 billion Ghana cedis, that is $3 billion in 2022, and 57 billion cedis, that is $5 billion in 2023, at the expense of the country's foreign currency reserves. But the Bank of Ghana is refuting this. According to the bank, the country has rather seen an increase in remittance flow. Here are excerpts of the statement from the Bank of Ghana.
Ghana has seen a consistent increase in remittance inflows year on year. Bank of Ghana and the World Bank data. The Bank of Ghana does not license MTOs since such companies are based abroad. The bank, however, conducts the due diligence on MTOs who partner local banks and/or fintechs to deliver remittances into Ghana as part of the authorization process. Furthermore, all remittance inflows are credited to the nostro account of partner banks of payment service providers. As such, no PSP holds any forex inflows from inward remittances. The partner banks credit the local CD accounts of PSPs for onward transfer to beneficiaries.
While reacting to this, banking consultant Dr. Richard Dede says the BOG must provide data to back its claim.
I don't know where he got the statement from, and I don't know whether he has actually gone through the data to say it has been consistent. So that is my first point of interest. I think they haven't addressed the issue, and I want them to address the issue by going straight to the data, because data and science don't tell a lie. And if I said we have lost it, by my calculation, between that two periods, the two data from World Bank, and we've lost close to 9 billion. So what the governor is saying is just addressing, I think somebody just went to him and told him that we could do this and that. I am saying that, and I want to reiterate what I've said. I'm saying that data has not been properly captured, traced, and captured as done in other jurisdictions. So his question, it doesn't come in at all. So governors should be very bold, and I've issued a statement, and I want him to be very bold and clear, and tell us that which partner institution, local banks, got the 57 billion and got the 3 billion. Should they have all received this money? the data between the World Bank and Ghana government will be very, very close, marginally too close to call. So what he's saying that I don't think they have gone through the statement that I issued, and I want them to go back and do the calculations and tell me that where did this 57 billion cedi, which bank in this country benefited? And also in the Ghana balance sheet, which I have also got copies, I didn't see any remittances from the fintech, which has been captured in the audited by the accounts audited by the Auditor General. So I find it quite unbelievable that people are saying that they're just refuting it by not addressing the issues. My issues are very simple. The difference between the World Bank data, which I have cross-checked and cross-checked, even from the local director. So I'm saying that if Governor Addison is saying that it has been growing and the local banks are, let him come forward and tell me that this institution benefited from the 57 billion equivalent of the dollars. And if I should add that one even to that, then I'll get close to the World Bank data. But as he hasn't done it, I find that statement quite unfortunate. And I don't want to be a political banter. I want them to address the issue.
You had the banking consultant, Dr. Richard Etiahine.
Starr Today, first, fast, and credible.
It's time for sports, and Benjamin Yamwa is in the studio with the very latest.
Thank you very much. And in sports, now former Mediama Sporting Club striker Jonathan Soa has ended his stay with Libyan side Al Nazar Benghazi after terminating his contract with the club. The termination was done mutually, with both sides agreeing to end their engagement just 6 months after Soa joined the football club. He is officially now a free agent. Soa's deal was ready to end on the December 31 next year after he officially joined the club this year in January. He reportedly joined the club for some 200,000 euros. Now, he scored some 4 goals for that club, of course, before the termination of his contract with Ali Benghazi in Libya. Now to the Euros, where the round of 16 for Euro 2024 set for Saturday, June 29, with Georgia pulling off a stunning 2-0 victory for Portugal to become the final side to book a spot. Now, Spain, England, and host Germany finished first in their group as expected. Now, Slovenia, Netherlands, Slovakia, and Georgia qualified as the 4 best third-place teams, while Hungary and Croatia have bowed out of the championship.
Italy head into Saturday's clash with Switzerland in Berlin, still a work in progress after scrapping into second place seconds before the end of the final Group B game with Croatia. The defending champions will be wary of the Swiss, who will likely have 4 Serie A players in their starting lineups, and showed in their 1-1 draw with Germany that they are perfectly capable of giving the big boys a bloody nose. Revitalized Germany alongside Spain have been the best team of the group stage and will rightly be considered favourites against Denmark, who laboured in second place in the dismissal Group C behind England. England, on the other hand, have had a soft landing against Slovakia on Sunday after topping Group C, despite putting in 3 hugely disappointing displays against mid-lane opposition. Coach Gareth Southgate was pelted with plastic cups by frustrated fans after Tuesday's goalless draw with Slovenia, and performances will have to pick up if his team are to live up to their billing as one of the pre-tournament favourites. Elsewhere, Luis de la Fuente's side, Spain, have been the most impressive team of the tournament so far, after breezing through the supposedly tough Group B with a perfect 9 points and a statement win over the Italians. With almost their entire first 11, including star wingers Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams, rested in Monday's 1-0 win over Albania, anything other than a straightforward passage into the quarters for Spain would be a massive shock in Cologne on Sunday. However, Georgia are this tournament's fairy tale and showed by beating Portugal on Wednesday, could spring up an upset. France were unimpressive in qualifying in second place from Group D. Kylian Mbappe is the only player in Didier Deschamps' side to score a goal, and that strike came from the penalty spot in a 1-1 draw with already eliminated Poland. Belgium, meanwhile, have played well in bursts but were barracked by France in Stuttgart on Wednesday after a safety-first approach against Ukraine saw them edge into the last 16 from Group E. Meanwhile, Portugal will be heavy favorites to get past Slovenia in Frankfurt on Monday, and coach Roberto Martinez will have a mostly rested first 11 to call upon after making a raft of changes for Wednesday's defeat to Georgia, which made no difference to the Group F winners. Slovenia didn't impress in Group C, finishing third and scoring twice in 3 matches, but Machat Kirk's team are unbeaten in 9 games. Netherlands were hugely disappointing in Group D, finishing third behind Austria and France, and should be wary on Tuesday of Romania, who are in the last 16 for the very first time in 24 years after topping a tied Group E. Austria have been given the dangerous tag of the tournament, dark horse, after topping Group D ahead of France and the Dutch, playing some exciting football in the process. Tuesday's match with Turkey in Leipzig promises to be an entertaining affair, with Vincenzo Montella's talented side being backed by huge support at every match.
That's my colleague Monica Bukhari with that news desk report on the Euros knockout stage. Still with the Euros, and a Georgian millionaire and a former Prime Minister, Bidzina Ivanishvili, has pledged to give the team £8.4 million to the national team after they beat Portugal at the ongoing Euros. Now, Georgia, managed by former French defender Willis Hagnol, overcame Portugal 2-0 on Wednesday night to qualify for the last 16 stage, where they will face the Spanish side. Now, Ivanishvili, who founded the ruling Georgian Dream political party and became Prime Minister of the country in 2012, said the win against Portugal was a historic and a dream victory. The 68-year-old said he would donate a further £8.4 million to the squad again, and the coaching staff should they also defeat Spain at the knockout stage. Ivanishvili was born in Georgia and established his fortune in Russia in the 90s with investments in banking, computers, and metals. And that's it for our sports.
Thank you so much, Benjamin, for giving us updates in sports. And that brings us to the end of Starr Today here on Starr 103.5 FM. For more news, log on to starfm.com.gh. Have a wonderful evening.